Hi, Dean Winters here with Ed Margolis, co-director of Lucky Glider Rescue and Sanctuary. Ed is here to answer a few common questions about keeping sugar gliders as pets. So Ed, nice to have you.
Thanks, Dean. Always a pleasure.
Well, first question, are sugar gliders the right pet for everybody?
Absolutely not. They are fussy, special, excitable animals, and they are in fact exotic, and they're a big commitment. I know a lot of people that have gliders that treat them just like gerbils or hamsters and say, what's the big deal? But they're the lucky ones. I mean, gliders are not real easy for everybody. They take a special diet. They have some behaviors that are not really compatible with some humans. So I would say no, they're not a pet for everybody.
Okay. What must you consider before you purchase a sugar glider?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a big thing to consider is that they're exotics that will display exotic behavior. They can't be housebroken. They'll pee and poo on you, they crawl on you. Sometimes they bite. They bite if they're scared or if you startle them or if you bother them in a way that they don't like. They're known to bite, and a glider bite can actually be dangerous because they carry a lot of bacteria in their mouths. The other thing to consider before acquiring them, and hopefully you won't buy them but adopt them because there's plenty up for adoption. No need to buy them from a pet store or from a breeder. There's too many of them already that are abandoned and need homes. But anyway, another thing you need to consider before you acquire a glider is they live a long time. They'll live up to 15 years in captivity. Another thing to be concerned about is that they do require a special diet. I know a lot of mill breeders and trade show hucksters and flea market hucksters sell them with pellets. And they say, oh, just feed them pellets and apples. It's a woefully inadequate diet. They'll die on that. It doesn't have enough protein, not the right balance of calcium and phosphorus. So they do take a special diet. You have to prepare their food. You have to have the patience to prepare their food. A lot of times you want their food to be fresh. That's another consideration. So they're also nocturnal. I mean, they bark at night. They play at night. They make noise at night. And they need attention. So these are just some things, kind of like the executive overview of some things you need to keep in mind before you consider having a glider as a pet. Oh, and it's not a good idea to have just one, incidentally.
Yeah, that was my next question. How many gliders do you think you should have?
We always say that it's just as easy to take care of 3 or 4 gliders as it is to take care of one. They're all in the same cage. They all eat out of the same food dish. When you let them out of the cage, you can interact with them all at the same time, pet them, and let them jump around. So it's not really any more difficult to take care of 4 than it is 1. So I would say at least 2. We notice that with the colonies that we have, both as pets and in rescue, that the ones that are the happiest ones are the ones that are in colonies of 3 or more.
And what age should you adopt sugar gliders?
Well, it's a good question because it gets down to an ethical issue. I mean, the people that sell them outright sell them way too young. I mean, they sell them at 4 weeks, 6 weeks out of pouch, which is so young. Even 8 weeks I don't think is right. The Merck Medical Manual for Veterinary Medicine says that sugar gliders' weaning period is 12 weeks. That means that mom and dad, allow them to nurse for 12 weeks, and during that period of time, mom and dad teach them a lot of things. They teach them how to pot, that is, how to go to the bathroom, not in the nest. They teach them how to groom. They teach them how to interact. They teach them how to eat solid foods. You yank a little baby glider away from its mom and dad 6 weeks before they would naturally wean. It's not a good idea. That little glider's not going to behave well. So if you go to the store, the pet store, or a trade show to get a glider, and it's a little teeny weeny thing, like no bigger than your thumb, it's just too young. And it's not eating solids yet. It's not behaving right. It's going to be very afraid. It's going to crab all the time. It's going to want to bite. So I would say it's better to, adopt one that's 6 months old or a year old or more, because they've already been handled and they're more likely to be friendly and not scared to death. So we say, adopt them, ones that have been around for a while.
Should you get a girl or a boy glider?
Well, first, I think you should get 2 or more gliders, not just one. You can pair 2 females, not a problem. You can pair 2 males, not a problem, so long as they're neutered. You got to neuter the males. One, because you don't want them breeding, and because they're prolific, and 2, because without neutering them, the testosterone levels in the males, make them want to fight each other. So it's better to get them neutered as, 4 months old is a good time to neuter them. You can neuter them much older than that, but generally speaking, 4 months or above is good for neutering. They have to have some weight on their bones. So you can have 2 males. You have a male and a female. Males, will continue to try to mate with the females even after being neutered, and they will deliver a mating wound, or bite the female in the back of the neck. So that's something to consider when you have a male-female pair. You got to make sure you watch for that, because if a little lesion develops as a result of the mating wound, you got to take them to the vet and get them antibiotics, because the flesh can get necrotic and hurt the glider, or seriously hurt the glider, or kill the glider. Small cuts get torn open, they get groomed or over-groomed by the cage mate, so you got to be careful if it's a male-female pair.
And would you recommend gliders for individuals that have other pets in the house?
Sure, but you have to be careful about keeping them separate from the other pets. Sadly, there's even brokers and breeders out there that show these animals, sugar gliders, sitting on a dog's head or playing with the cats, and it's just a terrible, terrible idea. And it's just wrong for people to show photographs of that. In 1 in a million circumstances, you can mix up a glider with a dog, but in our rescue, no less than 4 of the animals that are in rescue right now are single or came in single as a result of a dog eating their cage mate. So no, you don't want your gliders mixing it up in the same room, face to face in the same space with a cat or dog. They will be killed or maimed, or it'll be a heartbreak. You have to keep them separate. Now, we have dogs in our house, but we keep the gliders in separate rooms and don't let the dogs in the same room.
Is there anything you'd recommend to first-time owners or people that are interested in becoming new sugar glider owners?
Yes, patience. It takes a couple months for a glider to warm up to you. You can't go on vacation and just give them a big water bottle and leave them alone. If the water bottle gets stuck or falls over and the water drains out over a weekend, they'll die very quickly of dehydration. You don't want to trust your gliders to just anybody to take care of them, because they are kind of fussy. So if you travel a lot, or if you're a student and you're going to go off to college, or if you're the kind of person that keeps crazy hours and you really can't interact with the animals, I would say don't get them. They need you. They're very needy. They're very special. They're nocturnal. They live a long time, so you have to take all those things into consideration before you run out and get a pair.
And lastly, is there anything that you can name some of the most important things to remember about owning pet sugar gliders?
Yes. Most importantly, the biggest problem in animal husbandry of sugar gliders, according to our vet, is malnourishment. So you need to maintain a good 2-to-1 calcium to phosphorus ratio in the fruits and vegetables. They need animal protein in addition to, maybe soy protein, or in a high protein shake you can feed them.
But if you give them animal protein, they smell, correct?
That's a lie. They do not. Pellets are okay as a cage staple. They can chew on pellets. You throw a couple in there, but they need real food. They need 40 to 50% protein, and they need fresh fruits and vegetables, and you need to maintain a balance of 2-to-1 calcium to phosphorus. The other thing to keep in mind is that you must interact with them every day. You have to take them out of the cage. You have to inspect their bodies, make sure that there's no cuts or abrasions. You got to cut their nails every 30 days. So those are just a couple of things you got to keep in mind.
Alright, well,
Okay, thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Remember, if you have any questions, you can visit www.luckyglider.org. And please remember, if you are interested in owning a sugar glider, do adopt, don't buy. Thanks again, Ed.